Hello, everyone. Good morning. Let us explore those items that we did in the curriculum-based task 2022 math exam. So the first question is, which name correctly represents the number 524? So A says 542, B says 524, C says 254, D says 425. And so the correct answer is B, 524. Number 2 says, examine the Venn diagram below. Use it to answer item 2. Which student likes both art and music? Is it Andre, Jay, Pat, or Sue? So we have art, Andre here alone. We have music, Sue, and Jay likes both art and music. Pat doesn't like either. So it says, which student likes both art and music? So we're looking for the intersection. And so our answer is Jay. Very good. Number 3 says 5 numbers are shown in the box below. The value of the digit 2 is less than 1,000 in each of the numbers in the box. Examine the numbers carefully, then answer item 3. So we have 4,239, 31,429, 46,523, 624, 3,494,702. The question asks, for which of the following is the value of the digit 2 also less than 1,000? So we are going to be looking for the number that has the digit 2 in the hundreds place, the tens place, or the ones place. And A has the digit 2 in the hundreds place, B has it in thousands place, C has it in 10,000s, and D has the 100,000. And so the correct answer for this would be 1,234, because 2 is in the hundreds place, which is less than 1,000. Number 4 says, in the number 81,509, the digit 8 is in the what place? A, tens, B, hundreds, C, thousands, D, 10,000. So the digit 8 is in, so this is ones place, tens place, hundreds place, thousands place, 10,000s place. So the A is in the 10,000s place. A student made the following statement. Use it to answer item 5. When multiplying a number by 10, simply put 0 at the end of the number. For example, 42 times 10 is equal to 420, and you can see the 0 at the end of the number here. For which number, number 5, for which number will this strategy work? So we have a 7.534. If we add a 0 to the end of this number, it will not change the value of this. So it's not like we're multiplying this number given here by 10. If we add a 0 to the end of 7.53, it will not change the value either. So it's not like we're multiplying by 10. 7.5, if we add a 0 here in the hundreds place, it will not change the value, because it would not be that we have multiplied 7.5 by 10. However, for D, if we add 0 here in the ones place, it would be 7 multiplied by 10, which will give us 70. And so this number at D would be correct. If we multiply 7 by 10, it will give us 70. So all we'll have to do is add a 0 at the end of the 7 in the ones place. Number 6, which statement is an example of an infinite set? So an infinite set is a set that goes on and on and on. A says the set of numbers greater than 10. If we continue counting from 10, at what point do we stop? B, the set of letters in the alphabet, there are 26, so we can actually count up to 26. Letters in the alphabet. C, the set of grains of rice in a cup. We just have to count the grains in that cup. So this is definitely finite. There's an end value. D, the set of cars in a parking lot. The parking lot can only hold a set of cars. So yes, we can count that. That is finite. And so for A, that says a set of numbers greater than 10. If we count 11, 12, and we continue, it is infinite because it has no definite end. So A is the correct answer for number 6. Number 7, which of the following ratios is equivalent to 2 to 3? So 5 to 10 is 1 to 2. So it's not equivalent. B is 1 to 3. C is 2 to 3. And D is 2 to 5. And so C is the correct answer here. 10 to 15 is equivalent to 2 to 3. Number 8, which problem can be solved by adding a half and 1/3? A, Jake puts a half of his pencils in an empty bag. He then puts another 1/3 of his pencils into the same bag. What fraction of his pencils are now in the bag? This is showing where we're adding a half and a third. Let's look at B. Jake puts a half of his pencils in the desk. He then gives a third of the pencils in his desk to Lacey. What fraction of Jake's pencils did Lacey receive? He's giving away, so we're subtracting here based on the context. Jake gives a half of his pencils to Bill and some of his pencils to Kimmy. What fraction of his pencils did he give to Kimmy if he now has 1/3 remaining? Here we're doing some subtraction again. D says Jake gives a half of his pencils to Jill and a third of the remainder to Bill. What fraction of his pencils does he have left? We're doing some subtraction, and so A would be the correct option because we're showing that we're adding the half of his pencil in. He has half of pencil, he has put that in an empty bag, and then he added 1/3 of some pencils again in the same bag. And so A will be the correct answer here. Number 9 says the students in a class were given the following grid and asked to comment on the portion of the grid that is shaded. Use the grid as well as the comments 4 students made about it to answer item 9. Here is the grid. Here are the comments, and this is the question at number 9. Which student's comment is incorrect? All right, so we have Jody said 0.6 of the grid is shaded. So let's look if Jody is correct. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 6 out of 10 is the same as 0.6. So Jody is correct. 60% of the grid is shaded. 6 out of 10 is the same as 60 out of 100. And so 60% of the grid is actually shaded. So Lisa is correct. Mike says 3/5 of the grid is shaded. If we look at 6 out of 10 and we're to reduce that or represent that as a fraction, we will get 6/10. And if we reduce that, 2 into 6 goes 3 times, 2 into 10 goes 5 times. And so 3/5 can also be used to represent this grid. Here, let's see what Andy said. So Mike is correct. Andy said 6/100 of the grid is shaded, but really 6/10 of the grid is shaded, and 6/100 will only be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the entire grid shaded for Andy to be correct. And so Andy is incorrect based on the grid. All right. Number 10 says, what is 80% of the number? Now the diagram here represents the number 200. We're going to use it to answer what is 80% of this number. So here we're seeing 200. What is 80% of 200? All right. So if you find 80% of 200, that would be 160. So the correct answer here is 160. All we'll have to do is have 80 divided by 100 multiplied by 200, and we will get 160. As well as if we look at the relationship here, we can always just keep counting by 20, and we will come up with the answer as well. The table below shows the number of boys and girls in grades 2 and 5 at Rose Mountain Primary School. Use it to answer item 11. In which grade is the ratio of boys to girls 4 to 5? So in grade 2, so we're looking for which one of these is 4 to 5. So basically we're going to see the equal parts which are similar to both boys and girls, and then we see if the ratio is 4 to 5. So we have 24 to 16, and that will not give us 4 to 5. In fact, this will give us 6 to 4. We have for grade 3, 15 to 25. This will give us an equivalent ratio of 3 to 5. We have a 12 to 15, and this will give us an equivalent ratio of 4 to 5. That looks just about correct. And number 5, we have 16 to 15, which will give us 16 to 15 as the simplest representation of ratio. So the correct answer is grade 4, because if we look in 12 and 15 to make equal parts in both, then we'll divide our 12 into equal parts of 3, we'll have 4 of them, and 15 into equal parts of 3, we'll have 5 of them. So 4 to 5 is in grade 4. Examine the 2 bars shown on the diagram below. The longer bar represents 400% of the shorter bar, or 160 units. Use this information to answer item 12. So we have the longer bar, which is 400%, or 160 units. So this represents 160 units. And we want to see which statement is true about the length of the shorter bar. So the length of the shorter bar is what? Is it 16 units? Because 100 divided by 10 equals 16. Is it 40 units? Because 160 divided by 4 equals 40. Is it 100 units? Because 400 divided by 4 is 100. Or is it 4 units? Because 400 divided by 100 is 4. So based on what we have here, if we divide the longer bar into equal parts of the smaller bar, we'll get 4 equal parts. And so if we divide 160 by 4, we'll get 40. So the shorter bar, the length of the shorter bar is 40 units. The students in 6G were asked to name the sport they played. The data collected is shown in the Venn diagram below. Use it to answer item 13. And in this Venn diagram, we have a universal set showing the people who played cricket and the ones who played football and the ones who played neither. What information could be used to determine how many students played both cricket and football? Is it the number of students who play football only? Will that help us to determine the students who played both? The number of students who played cricket in this subset here, will that help us to determine how many students played both cricket and football? Or the number of students who played football only or cricket only? Or the number of students who do not play football or cricket? All right, so this one would be the number of students who played cricket, because if we know the number of students who played, all the students who played cricket, and we know the number of students who play cricket only is 8, then that means that the others who play cricket would have also played football as well and would come in the intersection here. So that will help us to determine that. Let's look at number 14. Which number is both a factor and a multiple of 24? So we need to know what factor is, what multiple is, and factors are numbers. If you multiply factors to get a product, while multiple is basically you keep multiplying what you have by a whole number, and the answer, the products that you're getting, those are really the multiples. So we can look at it like that. So which number is both a factor and a multiple of 24. 6 is a factor of 24, and it's not a multiple. 12 is a factor, not a multiple. 24 is a factor as well as a multiple, and 48 is only a multiple. So the correct answer here is 24. All right, so at this time, I want to advise persons who are watching that we have private grade 4 and grade 5 PEP classes during the course of May and June, depending on when your exam grade 5 or 4 begins. And in order to contact us, you'll use this number here to contact us on WhatsApp. All right, so let's go to number 15. Which of the following shows the reciprocal of the product of 5 and 6? All right, so at the reciprocal of 5 and of the product of 5 and 6. So the product of 5 and 6 is 5 times 6 is 30. The reciprocal is basically when we flip, that number. So 30 written as a fraction would be 30 over 1. And so the reciprocal has to be 1 over 30. So the correct answer is D. Number 16. The diagrams below show 2 fractions, 2 nines and 5 nines. Use them to answer item 16. So we have 16 saying to determine the value of 2 nines plus 5 nines. They're the same size parts. They're in nines. So we just need to add the numerators, which are the shaded parts, and that will give us 2 nines plus 5 nines is 7 nines. Correct answer is B. The diagram below shows 8 donuts in a box. The ratio of coconut donuts to vanilla donuts is 2 to 6. Use the diagram and this information to answer item 17. Item 17 asks, what percentage of the donuts are coconut? So based on the diagram shown here, we have a coconut 2 to 6, which is vanilla, and the whole that we have here is 8. 2 out of 8 is a quarter, and the quarter as percentage is 25%. So the correct answer is C, 25%. Read the statement below carefully. Use it to answer item 18. There is no number greater than 5.69 that has 6 in the tens place. Which of the following shows that the statement is false? All right, so 5.6 is not greater than 5.69. So this one will not falsify the statement. 6 is in the tens place. 5.681 is not greater than 5.69, even though it has 6 in the tens place. So that one will not prove that it is false. The statement is false. C is 5.690, which is the same as 5.69. So this does not prove it's false either. D says 5.691, and this is greater than 5.69 because now we're in the thousands place. So a little toops is added on to our 5.69. And so the correct answer will be D. That will show that the statement is false. Simone, Peter, and Michael were given a sum of money to share among themselves. Simone received 45% of the money, and Peter received 30%. What fraction of the money did Michael receive? So, in order to figure that out, we have to determine how much Simone and Peter had or received. So Simone is 45%, Peter is 30%. That is 75% in total. So that means Michael would have received 25%. And 25% is the same as a quarter. So our correct answer is A, a quarter. Which number is a prime factor of 50? We're looking for factors of 50, but only the one which is a prime number. 1 is not a prime number because it has only one factor, only one. 2 is a prime number and it has and it is a factor of 50. So 1 and 2 are the factors. Why it's a prime number. 10 is not a prime number. It's a factor of 50, but it's a composite number, so that won't work either. D is not a prime number. It's a composite number, even though it's a factor of 50. And so B, 2 is the only correct response here, because 2 is a factor of 50 and it's also a prime number. All right. So here we have which pair of diagrams represents equivalent ratios. So let's look at it. Which of are these equivalent? 4 to 16, is it the same as 8 to 24? As if we're supposed to reduce this, or we're supposed to multiply it and make the numbers a little bigger. Will they be equivalent? 6 to 18 is not equivalent to 3 to 15. All right, so let me just go through this real quick. So 4 to 16 would be the same as 1 to 4. 8 to 24 will be the same as 1 to 3, so these are not equivalent. 6 to 18 would be the same as 3 to 6, which is 1 to 3. And 3 to 15 would be 1 to 5. These are not equivalent. C is 1 to 5, and 1 to 4. These are not equivalent. At D, we have 1 to 3 and 1 to 3. So the correct answer here is D. 6 to 18 is equivalent to 8 to 24. All right, so the scaled drawing of a floor plan is shown below. We're going to use it to answer this item 2022. Now, the question at 2022 reads, which of the following is a reasonable estimate of the area of the living room? So let's find the living room. And if we bring it across here, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And note that one of these is a square meter based on the key. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 7 times 5, 35. Plus we have half of 7 down here, which is like 3.5. So 35 and 3.5 will be 38.5. And so a reasonable estimate could be 40. So our correct answer here would be 40 square meters. The rectangle below has length 100 meters and width 50 meters. Use it to answer item 23. So here's a rectangle, 100 meters for the length, 50 meters for the width. What's the perimeter of the rectangle? So 100 plus 50 is 150, plus another 100, 250, plus 50, 300. And so the perimeter of the rectangle is 300 meters. Which rectangle has a perimeter that is different from the others? So let's look at the perimeter of I. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 14, 16. 16 units is the perimeter. For 2, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12. So for 2, it would be 12. So 16, 12. Let's look at 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 3 is also 12. Let's look at 4. 1, 2, 3 times 4, 12. And so the correct answer for this is I, because it has a different perimeter from the others. So the correct answer is A. Number 25, it says, which object is a good example of a pyramid? Remember now that a pyramid is where we have triangular faces meeting at the top at an apex. And so here, this A would not be a pyramid, nor would B. C is a pyramid because we have triangular faces meeting at the top to form an apex. And D, we know is a sphere, so the correct answer is C. All right, Marva saw the solid below. She's convinced that it is a cube. Use it to answer item 26. Which statement about cubes could you use to convince her that it is not a cube? All of the edges have the same length. Well, that's the same for this figure as well as a cube, so we can't use that one. Each face is a square. That's true for a cube. However, for this, each face is a what? Each face is a rhombus. For C, it has 8 vertices. This figure has 8 vertices as well as a cube. Opposite faces are parallel. That's the same for this figure as it is for a cube. So the correct answer here would be that each face is a square. That is what we could use to convince her, because each of these faces aren't a square. So that's why this is not a cube, it is something else. All right, so the figure below represents 4 white cubes that Anna glued together. She then painted the entire figure blue. Use this information to answer item 27. How many faces of the 4 cubes were painted blue? All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 at the top, 4 at the bottom, which is 8, 4 at this side, 12, 4 at the other side, 16. Then we have 17, 1 here, and 1 here, 18. So the correct answer is 18. 18 faces of the cube were painted, of the 18 faces were painted blue of this figure. Read the information in the box below. Use it to answer item 28. Kim is building a model of an octahedron from matchsticks and bubblegum balls. She uses the matchsticks to represent the edges and the bubblegum balls to represent the vertices. Which statement is true about the number of matchsticks and the number of bubblegum balls she will need to build the model? Here's a picture of an octahedron. Let's see. It says A, the number of bubblegum balls will be half the number of matchsticks. So let's count the number of bubblegum balls and the number of matchsticks. Bubblegum balls, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bubblegum balls. Let us count the matchsticks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 matchsticks and 6 bubblegum balls. A says the number of bubblegum balls will be half the number of matchsticks. Well, if 6 bubblegum balls are there and 12 matchsticks, that would be true. Let's look at B though. The number of bubblegum balls will be 2/3 of the number of matchsticks. No. The number of bubblegum balls will be the same as the number of matchsticks, 6 and 12. No. The number of bubblegum balls will be 2 times the number of matchsticks. No, we have more matchsticks than we have bubblegum balls. So our correct answer is A. All right, let's go to number 29. Read the conversation below. Use it to answer item 29. If the length of the sides of a quadrilateral are whole numbers, then the perimeter of the quadrilateral is also an even number because it has 4 sides. Marcus disagrees and says, let me show you with one example. Which quadrilateral could Marcus use to prove his claim? So in a rectangle here, it says, let's see what Tony had said, the length of the sides of quadrilaterals are a whole number. So if this is 2, 2, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, then the perimeter is always an even number because the 4 sides, right? Either we have 2 pairs of parallel sides or 2 or 4 equal sides. Good. So this one, Marcus could not use this to prove his claim because this one would match what Tony says. Using this rhombus as well would give us all 4 sides equal. 4 is an even number, so definitely if they are whole numbers, it will also mean that the perimeter is an even number. So B cannot be used by Marcus to prove his claim. Let's look at C, it's a trapezoid, and we realize that there are different lengths for all 4 sides. So based on the different lengths here, it does not have to be true because if we have 2 here, 2 here, we have say this is 4, this is 3, then if we find the sum of that, the perimeter, because they're different lengths, the perimeter does not always have to be an even number. For the kite, We have 2 pairs of parallel sides. So this would match what Tony says. So the correct answer for this one would be C for the trapezoid. As part of our statistics project, Dacia is collecting information on the number of lunches sold in her school's canteen daily. She presented the data she collected in the table below. Use it to answer item 30. Which graph represents Dacia's findings as seen in the table? So on Monday, let's look if Monday we're seeing 60 lunches. So this one won't work. This is a little more than 60. Well, almost 70 really. This one is just at 60 and it could be shown as, so we have that's Monday. We have Monday again here with 60. So it's either C or D. We have Tuesday 71. So this one could be 71 as well. It's a little more than halfway between 60 and 80. If you look at the scale, they're going up by 20, as well as this one could be showing 71 too. So we're still looking at both. Wednesday is 65. Wednesday here is 60. Wednesday here is a little more than 60. So this one, D is leading here so far. Thursday is 57. That should be a little less than 60, which is being shown here at D. And Friday is 42. And this is a little more than 40. So the correct answer is D. All right. A teacher conducted a survey to find out whether students like to do homework or not. The table below shows the information the teacher collected. Use it to answer this question. So the question, do you like to do homework? The response, yes, no. She's collecting this data, whether yes or no, from both male and female. Which chart or graph would be most appropriate to represent this information? So we have a single bar graph. A single bar graph can be used. However, it will not fully, it will be a lot of different things that we have to consider there on this single bar graph. However, if we use a double bar graph, we could show yes or no for both male and females, or we could show male and female who says yes and who says no. So far, double bar graph looks really appropriate, most appropriate. A pie chart would not really show this kind of comparison. And a line graph would not really show this kind of comparison. And so the most appropriate graph or chart will be B, the double bar graph. The stem and the leaf plot below shows the number of bananas sold by a school stock shop over a 3-week period. Use the information to answer item 32. So we know in a stem and leaf plot, 3 for the stem, 1 for the leaf means 31. The shaded area shows 51 bananas were sold on 3 days. As we can see here, 51, 51, 51. How many days were 79 bananas sold? 79, 79. So 2 days. This is the correct answer. All right. A student is trying to determine which of 2 graphs, a pie chart or a bar chart, would be better to represent the time taken for 7 competitors to finish a set of activities. Which of the following would best justify the choice? The bar graph, because it better represents changes over time. The pie chart, because it is better to use when comparing parts of a whole. Oh, well, we're not talking about parts of a whole here. The bar chart, because it is better to use when comparing individuals or groups. The pie chart, because it is easier to draw. The correct answer would be C, because it is better to use a bar graph, bar chart, when comparing individuals or groups. So we're comparing their time taken, it's better to use a bar chart. The line graph below shows the average number of students absent from grade 5 over a 6-week period. Use it to answer item 24. The question says, on which day of the week are all grade 5 students most likely to be in school? So since this graph is showing the average absentees, it means that the day with the lowest absentee, which is Wednesday, is the day when most likely, all grade 5 students will be in school. So the correct answer would have to be B, Wednesday. Most likely, we're looking at this. It's asking about which day most likely they'll be present. The bar graph is showing absence. So it has to be the lowest value would be for present. All right. The results from a survey showed that there were 1,250 trees in a particular area. 42% of the trees are coconut trees. 28% were almond trees, and the rest were mango trees. Which two of the following statements are true? All right, so there are more mango trees than coconut trees and almond trees combined. So coconut trees, 42%, almond trees, 28%, that would make it 70% of coconut and almond trees, and 30% for mango trees then. So mango trees is actually less, so A cannot be correct. There are 875 coconut and almond trees combined. So if we have 70% of coconut and almond trees, 70% of 1,250 is 875. So that is a correct statement. That's a true statement. If 30% of 1,250 trees are mango trees, then will that be 350 mango trees? No. There are 725 coconut and almond trees combined. That's incorrect. There are 375 mango trees. So the first correct answer is that we have 875 coconut and almond trees combined, and also that there are 375 mango trees. So B and E are our correct answers. Which two number lines show multiples of 12? Now remember, multiples and factors are different. So multiples will really be 12 and above, numbers that when you multiply 12 by a whole number, you will get, while factors would be the numbers when you multiply them, you get 12. So A is showing 6 and 12. These are factors, so no. B is showing 3, 6, 9, 12. These are not all factors of 12, but they're definitely not multiples, because 9 isn't a factor, but they're definitely not multiples. 60, 72, 84, 96, these are multiples of 12. So that's one of our options. At D, we have 4, 8, and 12. These are not multiples of 12. And we have at E, 12, 24, 36. Those are multiples, because if you multiply 12 by a whole number, you will get these numbers at C and E. So C and E are our correct number for this one. All right, number 37. Anthony made the statement below. For 3 consecutive counting numbers, an even number will always follow an odd number. There are 4 sets of numbers listed in column 1 of the table below. For each set of numbers given, shade the appropriate letter in each row to indicate whether the set of numbers is a good example or a poor example of Anthony's statement. Now remember, Anthony's statement says for 3 consecutive counting numbers, an even number will always follow an odd number. Now, if we look at the first one, 5, 10, 15, these are not consecutive counting numbers, so that's a poor example. 45, 46, 47. These are consecutive counting numbers, and it shows that we have odd, even, odd, and the number that comes after the third counting number, let me see, that follows the odd number is an even number, because after 47, we'll get 48. So that's a good example. 2, 3, 5, these are not consecutive counting numbers because we don't have 4 there. So that's a poor example. 100, 101, 102. These are consecutive counting numbers, and it says that this will show that an odd number follows an even number. So this is also a good example. All right. Number 38. For each number given in column 2 of the table below, shade the appropriate letter in each row to indicate whether it's a factor, multiple, or neither a factor nor multiple of the number in column 1. So is 18 a factor, or is it a multiple, or is it neither a factor or multiple of 48? 18 is not a factor of 48, nor is it a multiple. So it is neither a factor or multiple of 48. 9 is a factor of 18. 40 is a multiple of 20. And 13 is a factor of 52. All right. For each part of the cuboid listed in the table below, shade the appropriate letter in each row that represents each part of the cuboid. All right, so we have the edge is being represented by B. We have the face represented by C. And we have the vertex represented by A. So we have B, C, and A. All right, and the last item is examine the two tables shown below. Use them to answer item 40. So we have a third, 2, 3, quarter, 12, 16. So we're going to recall that a factor times factor is equal to product. Karen thinks that when we multiply two factors, the product is always larger than each of the factors. Use one number from each table as factors to show that Karen's thinking is false. So, of course, we can have different answers based on what we have thought about this. However, the correct answer is if we multiply a fraction by a fraction, we will get, so we'll have A, we'll get a smaller product multiplied by D, that will give us a smaller product. If we multiply a third by 12, the product will be greater than one of the factors. If we multiply 2 times 12, we'll have a greater product. If we multiply 3 times 12, greater product. 3 times 16, greater product. A third times 12, the product will be greater than one of these. A third times 16, the product will also be greater than one of the factors. So the correct answer is A times D. And now we're at the end. How did we do? How did you do? How did you think you performed in this exam? Go ahead and share that in the chat. And I want to remind those grade 4 and grade 5 students that we have PEP classes available. We have limited spaces. And so for you to be registered, for your parent to register you, your parent should send me a WhatsApp at this number here. And I only want to get responses from parents because you cannot register yourself. All right, so have a good day. Bye-bye.